Hey guys, it's Facebook Live Friday and I'm Melissa Costello. I'm the owner of Karma Chow and I'm a transformational eating coach and holistic nutritionist. I'm super excited to be here today. I love my Facebook Live segments and I love sharing information out into the world to help women stop dieting and men who struggle with their weight, to help them stop dieting so that they can actually lose weight sustainably and feel really good and not have to restrict themselves. So today my topic is just that, 3 keys to sustainable weight loss. And this is it's a hot topic because, and it's something that you've all heard me talk about before. And, dieting has become the cultural norm these days. And it creates a lot of suffering and it creates a lot of vicious cycle with food. And we all know that diets don't work for the long term. And I'm here to share today with you about sustainable weight loss that stays off without dieting, and how you can do that, and how you can, not deprive yourself, not restrict yourself, still lose weight and feel really good in your body. So I'm going to share 3 keys with you today. I do have a couple little notes, so you might see me looking down, but I just want to make sure that I don't forget things. And and a lot of you who have watched my Facebook Live videos know that I have my own story and that I've struggled with body image and dieting and all of that for a really, really long time. And I had to approach it from a different way. And that really is my first key to sustainable weight loss, is to get off the diet hamster wheel and start to look for a different way. And whether that means, looking at different programs or finding a coach or asking questions, like leaning into the why of dieting, like why are you always dieting? Why does it not work? What is driving it? Why are you overweight? Why are you overeating? And really leaning into that question of why, and getting off that hamster wheel that you've been on, because it's clear that dieting does not work. It does not work for the long-term sustainable weight loss. If you want short-term weight loss, great, but the thing is, the weight's going to come back or you're going to struggle to keep it off, and it's always going to feel like an uphill battle. And ultimately, life is too short to be fighting an uphill battle all the time, right? We want more balance, we want more flow, we want more ease. So I would say my number 1 key is get off the diet hamster wheel, start to look for a different solution. And I love to share that quote from Einstein: we can't solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. So you're really gonna have to step outside of your box. You're gonna have to step out of that box that you're used to being in, of dieting and deprivation and restriction, and start to look for a different way. And that's really why I do what I do, is because I want to show people that there is a different way. One of my clients who just completed my food freedom program in the beginning of this year wrote me an email, and I've shared this on my Facebook page, but it was so powerful because when I got the email, it brought tears to my eyes. And because I know how much this woman has struggled with binge eating and dieting and weighing herself every day and the up and down roller coaster. And she wrote me an email and just said how amazing she felt and that she's finally free of the lifelong battle with food. She lost 52 pounds. She didn't have to diet. She didn't have to deprive herself. And she was just so, so grateful that she got to do this in a different way, and that she is just free now. She doesn't have to struggle and diet and just be caught up in that vicious cycle. And so I just wanted to share that because there is a different way. You don't have to stay caught in this cycle, this dieting cycle. So my second key is about experimenting and listening. So oftentimes people are overweight or they overeat because, number 1, habit, number 2, they're not listening to their bodies, and they're not really figuring out what works for them. They're listening to everyone else around them, and they're also just following habits. A lot of times we just eat out of habit, or we eat because it's lunchtime, versus listening to our bodies and what do our bodies need. And that is really, really important. And that's not the number one key, but one of my keys, my top 3 keys to sustainable weight loss, is really tuning into the body, eating only when we're hungry, and eating without distraction. Because when we start to tune into the body, we start to experiment and figure out what the body likes and what it needs, then it will start to shed weight. And I know that kind of sounds like, well, where do I start? What do I do with that? But it is just about taking the first step. And what I would say is, for your next meal, ask yourself what you want, get quiet enough to listen, and then sit down and eat your meal. And slow down, no distraction, just really be with yourself when you're eating, enjoy your food, and I promise you, most of the time when you do that, you won't overeat, and you'll actually feel satisfied, and you'll actually stop eating before you get completely full. Because we don't want to eat until we're completely full up to here. We want to eat until we feel satisfied, because our food expands, and and then our body can't digest it well. So that's my number 2 key. My number 3 key is, this is a big one, and it's something that takes time, but it's really about acceptance. So it's so important to really look at the underlying reason why you don't have peace with food. So there's always an underlying reason. So start to be more in acceptance of where you are, letting go of so much of the black and white thinking and the perfectionism. So perfectionism is a way we don't accept ourselves. Perfectionism is a way we think we're broken, or we need to fix something, or we're not enough, so we have to do everything perfectly. But when we start to let go of the perfectionism, we build the self-trust. We start to just feel better about ourselves, and we start to be in more acceptance. And it's just a daily practice. It's something that you can start right now, and that you can start practicing daily and checking in with yourself and asking yourself, like, where am I not being in acceptance? How can I be more accepting? What is the next best choice for me personally, not what everyone else wants, not what such and such says, or this diet book says, or Weight Watchers says, or whatever that is. It's really about what works for you, being in acceptance around what works for you. And then always choosing the next best step and creating peace with the thing that's driving you to overeat and driving you to diet and driving you to struggle with food, because there's always something there. And I'll give you an example of that from my own personal experience. For me, so much of this journey started when I was young, and because I felt like there was no control in my life, there was no safety, there was no, didn't feel supported. And so what I did was I turned to food as my crutch and the way I would feel safe. And it led to emotional eating and binge eating, and I didn't know how to process my emotions, and so I always turned to food to help myself feel better. And I wasn't in acceptance of myself. I felt like I needed to have a perfect body for people to like me, or I needed to look a certain way, or I needed to eat a certain way for people to like me. And I wasn't in acceptance. I was always feeling like I was broken. I needed to fix something about myself, and that I needed everything to be and look perfect. And it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. So acceptance is so key. And when you get into acceptance, you get into more self-compassion, more self-trust. It's always about building that self-trust, because a lot of people, tell me, like, I'm addicted to food. How do I trust myself? How do I stop? And if I'm going to practice these steps, what if I get out of control? Well, you might feel that way, but being in control is really an illusion. And I shared a blog in my last email series around control, and my last Facebook Friday live video was around control, and you can catch that on my page here if you go onto my videos on my page. And it really is, we feel like we're going to spiral out of control, but it's one of the first steps to breaking down that box that we've been stuck in, and that cycle and that hamster wheel that we've been stuck on. So you can catch all of my Facebook Live videos on my Karma Chow page if you go under the video tab. And also everyone who listens to my videos and visits my page is privy to my free gift of a food freedom book guide that I have. And you can sign up right on my Facebook page at that little sign up button underneath my my cover photo, right on my Karma Chow fan page. And you get your food freedom guide, and then as a part of my tribe, you also get a ton of other really awesome educational free goodies. So you can sign up right there on right here on my Facebook page. So those are my 3 top keys for today for sustainable weight loss. Number 1, ask why, lean in, start to experiment, start to really listen to what your body needs. And these are all definitely connected, as you can tell, right? Stop dieting, get off the hamster wheel. And number 2, experiment and listen. Eat only when you're hungry, eat undistracted, sit down, start to listen to what your body wants, and you'll start to build trust with your body. And then number 3, acceptance. Build self-acceptance. In the moment, make a choice. The only way we can break patterns, bad patterns and bad habits, is in the moment. We can't do it later on when we think about it, or if we know we got off track, or we know we're doing something like binging and we're thinking to ourselves like, I know I'm doing this, but I really don't care. That's not going to break the pattern. What's going to break the pattern is if you stop and go do something else, or really look at what is driving the binge. What's really here? What am I feeling unpeaceful about that's creating disease with my food? So those are my top 3 keys for sustainable weight loss today. I'm so excited you joined me. I love to hear from my tribe, so if you ever have any questions, you can always email me at missy@karmachow.com. And sign up to get my food freedom guide. It's a really great resource. It's got 7 inspired steps to start making peace with food and to break out of that vicious cycle. Oh, Nicole, thank you so much. Yay, I'm awesome. I'm so glad you were here. Thanks for joining me today. So I'll be here next Friday right here, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. You can catch me. And I'm going to be having a webinar coming up in a couple weeks, and I'll be sharing about that as well. And get my food freedom guide. You can sign up right on this page. You'll be on my email list, and then you'll learn all about the free events that I do and all the great stuff that I give out. So thanks for joining me today, guys. Have an awesome weekend. Peace. Bye.